I'm Alex.
I'm James.
And I'm Dan.
This is the RAGAMUFFIN Music Podcast. Every month we get together, talk about the latest news, music and trends in the world of alternative music.
On this episode, we'll be reviewing the brand new albums from Straight from the Path and Electric Callboy, as well as new singles from Architects, Boston Manor, Tallah, and Suicide Silence.
And we'll be looking back at slam dunk festival lineups of the past and deciding which is the best one.
First, let's look at some news. Paramore's comeback single has been announced. Their song This Is Why is coming out on September 28th. And I could just shake with excitement.
I can see
sounded sarcastic.
He's shaking right now. I can see him.
I'm excited. Are we excited?
Yeah.
I haven't listened to much of Paramore's, I know they haven't released anything for a while, but more recent stuff, I guess.
Yeah.
But I've heard that they're going a bit more guitar heavy with this one.
Oh,
so
okay.
That's
promising.
I remember seeing an interview quote that said they told drummer Zach to go as wild as he wanted with the drums, which bodes well.
Yeah, I think it does.
Bodes very well. With Confidence announced their breakup and last shows. They're touring both the US and Australia, wrapping up after 10 years as a band.
Didn't realise they'd been around that long.
No, nor me. But fair play.
Fair play, lads.
Ollie Sykes confirms the Posthuman EP series is still the plan. Despite originally planning 4 EPs in 1 year, it's actually been 2 years since Survival Horror. We've got Die For You and Strangers to show us where the next chapter is heading, but we've still got some more waiting to do. The focus is on new songs being setlist worthy, which is what is sort of taken so long. Fucking hurry up.
Well, that's fine. If you need more time to kind of polish it, I'd rather have a good song than their song.
Then why did they release Strangers? And lastly, Craig Reynolds played drums on the Late Night Show with Seth Meyers. What a legend.
Icon. The one true king.
I just love the fact that you kind of see them all dressed smart as guest and presenter, and you look across to him behind the kit and he's just wearing Downbeat merch.
He's in his own merch.
Yeah, love it. Absolutely love it. Great stuff.
Respect the grind.
Legend. Should we talk about last episode's recommendations?
Let's.
James, what did you recommend?
I recommend Chris Turner Steezy. What did you think?
To be honest, I'm not entirely happy with this. I wasn't sure how much enjoyment I'd get from listening to an instrumental album, but I did really enjoy it. Just stripping the vocals away kind of made me pay attention more to what's going on with everything else, I think. The drums are obviously a highlight, but there's also some really cool djenty riffs that I liked. And kind of the synthy, hip-hop-like elements thrown in there as well are really cool. And you can hear the sort of makeup of Ocean's 8 Alaska in this as well. After quite recently listening to this and their new album, you can see kind of where the ideas and things have come from.
Yeah, I'm not normally big into very technical, djenty, this sort of style of metalcore normally. So when I listen to it, I only listen to bands that I think do it in an interesting way. And it's like you said, you can hear the building blocks of what makes Ocean's 8 Alaska the band that they are. But I thought it would be a lot more self-indulgent than it actually is. I was surprised that there are definitely moments where it's okay, this is a drummer's album. But it was interesting enough to enjoy it not as a drummer, which I think is a challenge because it could have very easily been just a self-indulgent wank fest for the whole album. So I liked it. I think I'd rather listen to just an Oceans album with vocals on if I was going to go for one over the other, but it was nice to just listen to something different.
I recommended Feel Something by Movements. Did you feel something?
Stone cold classic. Yeah, it's just a modern emo, whatever genre. I would call it an emo album.
Yeah, I would.
Just a modern emo classic, I think. The experience that we had seeing them at Outbreak proved how much songs on this album mean to people. And it's something that, I've not listened to it for a long time. And it still resonates really well. And the whole album, I think, just the way he's able to sort of take very painful things that he's experienced and express them, Deadly Dark, when you think about it, is such a bleak song. So it's again, a lot of the albums that you recommend, Dan, are quite therapeutic. By the time it's done, I feel like I've just a weight off my shoulders. So
that's my aim.
I like this album a lot, and I think it's bloody great.
It was a grower for me. I think it's like consistent across the whole release, and it's definitely an improvement on the single from last month. Because I kind of like recommended it off the back of that because I didn't enjoy that.
I think that's why I wanted to recommend it, because that didn't feel like a true. Well, it's not the movements that I love anyway. So I wanted to show you what movements actually can do.
No, it's good. The vocal tone was the main highlight for me. Like the instrumental, like the tones were nice, especially like the bass being strong in the mix. The guitar tones were good. The drums suited what the song requires, but the vocals for me just were the main catch. And yeah, I found it like easy to have on the background as well. Like kind of just falling in and out of listening to it while kind of doing other bits and pieces. Colorblind and Deep Red were favourites for me. They were good ones.
Big tunes, yeah.
Definitely an improvement from hearing it based on the single last month. And maybe I'll listen to more.
Nice.
What did you recommend, Alex?
I recommended I'm Afraid of Everything by Wish You Were Here, which is the acoustic project of Jesse from Stick to Your Guns.
Yeah, it was very nice. It was mellow and chilled. Not something I'd instinctively like put on. But I think when I'm in the right mood for it, it definitely is something that would kind of hit that spot. Hell Inside My Head was a favourite one for me. It very much reminded me of No Way to Live, like the end track from Stick to Your Guns, which is what you kind of recommended this off of. Again, just easy listening and just good to have in the background and kind of chill to as well. Just seemed to like really fluently go from start to finish on the album as well. Just before I knew it, it was over, like in a good way. Very enjoyable.
Yeah, I soon realised after seeing the artwork that I have actually listened to this before. It's a very chilled out yet painfully sad album. The lyricism combined with like lethargic sounding instrumentation expresses feelings of loneliness, fear and vulnerability really strongly, which is in complete contrast to the anger and like unity and battle cries you kind of get on Stick to Your Guns, which is kind of evidence of not just Jesse's abilities as a songwriter, but also like the sincerity of his music. Like these songs exist because they needed to, or he needed them to.
Yeah.
And he obviously needed to show, he needed another project like this to show a side of him that he can't express through Stick to Your Guns, I think. So yeah, it's a really nice, like sincere, emotional album, I think.
What I like about it the most is like his storytelling is so specific. Like he's naming people, naming places, and like that. Like I know it's such a little detail, but I think those details make it feel more immersive. And like even though he's talking about like his family and cities in America, I feel like the more specific that he gets, the more I'm able to actually like.
It still kind of builds a universe and builds characters and things, isn't it? Even if they are based on or are literally real people, it builds like a nice narrative, I think. One
like little sort of behind the scenes thing that I like about it as well is that I remember seeing like an acoustic session that he did on YouTube, and he said in it that the reason that he sings this album so quiet is because he didn't want his roommate to hear him as he was writing them. And so he just got used to the songs existing in that way of him like being like, because the whole like his vocals on this album are really quiet and like withheld, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
but
that matches the timid nature of the lyrics and the themes across the album as well. So it
all fits.
Yeah,
great recommendations all round then.
Yeah,
happy days.
Great success.
God, let's talk about some new music.
Architects are back with what's probably their last single before the album drops next month with Deepfake. What are we thinking?
This makes it 2 out of 3 singles that I like now off this new album. I think Alex is agreeing with me.
Yes, sir.
As much as it feels a little watered down, and as much as it feels like a lot of the song is just waiting for the breakdown at the end, I still really enjoy it. I think it's not quite the strongest of the 3. I still think When We Were Young is the best of the 3 singles so far, but this is much better than Tear Gas, I thought.
Massively agree.
Yep.
Yeah.
I really like the bit where it kind of drops away and then there's the distant screaming from Sam.
That's one of my favourites.
That's a really nice kind of little technique there. I really liked that. And the lyrical callback to the title of the previous album, which, to be fair, it sounds quite similar to that kind of sound and perhaps maybe belongs on that album. I think we'll have to wait and see what this new album sounds like first, but it sounds very similar to those that Wish to Exist, I think.
It's just very Architects-y straight away. Like I think they've developed a sound in like their guitar tones and their riffs that if you were to play this and not tell me who it was by, I'd be like, that's Architects. Like from the riffs before hearing Sam, and it's like they've developed and like fine tuned such a great sound, where it kind of just riffs so hard it jams. I think like the verses really build into the chorus quite nicely, and like you say, that breakdown is incredible. This gives me a lot more positivity going into the album compared to then like hearing Tear Gas. I was a bit like, shit, is this going to land? And now I've got a little bit more hope, I guess. I'm still a little bit reserved. I'm still wondering whether it's a little bit too soon after For Those That Wish to Exist to release another album. I feel like they could have done another tour.
Especially with the length that album was as well. I think
it was big.
They could have got away with waiting a bit longer.
So I don't want it. I don't feel like there's been enough time that's passed since For Those That Wish to Exist where I'm like, I could really do another Architects album. It feels like this is preempting it being a little bit too soon. So I don't know if that's going to impair any judgment I have when the album comes out and when it releases. So I'm kind of preemptively got that in the back of my mind already. But I'm hoping that with this one also, it's going to be, I haven't seen if there's a full track listing out, it's going to be a shorter album length, I hope. I don't really want another 15-song album, because I think that's what it was, 15 songs, and that was just too much, and I think that was one of our main criticisms.
Too long,
For Those That Wish to Exist. So a shorter album would benefit me a lot more in terms of a few new songs being added into the set list, because again, they've got such a vast discography now. Almost like with the news talking about Bring Me, you need to find the right songs that are now going to fit into a set list. And Bring Me, like doing the EPs now, you're only going to get a few new songs every few years. Is a better model in a way. It's almost like these top tier bands like a Slipknot. I don't necessarily need full length albums anymore. I don't need a full length from Architects anymore. Just a few new singles every couple of years, or like an EP every couple of years, is kind of like what I as a fan would want now, I guess, in a way. But to each their own.
There are 11 tracks on the upcoming album.
Okay. That's a much better number.
I don't know the track length, but that's kind of standard for an album, isn't it? 11?
Yeah. 8 to 10 is usually like the sweet spot for me.
10's perfect.
But no, let's see what it is. Month till it comes out as of time of recording today, so we shall find out soon what we all think of it.
This was a grower for me, but I'm actually pretty obsessed with it now. I think, it feels like that what they're doing now is just taking what they did on For Those That Wish to Exist and just pushing it that step further. It's like, okay, this is now the way this band is going. I understand why people can be salty about it, but like, just enjoy it. I think I've said it before, like, if you want to hear that trilogy, just go and listen to that trilogy, because there's hours upon hours.
And they'll still play those songs live.
But this is going to be like hearing this in like an arena. It's going to sound great. And he looks bloody cool in his eyeliner.
Yeah, I liked the eyeliner. Everyone online can shut up. It looked cool.
Go Sam.
From one cool band to one of the coolest bands around, Boston Manor. They've released a new song called Inertia. What do we think?
Big fan.
Weird in the sense that it felt like an odd choice for a single, because it is last on the track list for the album.
I was going to say, I believe it's the closing track on the album.
And even though we've not heard the album, it felt like that. It felt like, okay, this is a summary of everything we've experienced. Because I know that this album's it's a concept album, isn't it? Or at least half of a concept album.
Yeah, I believe it's supposed to kind of channel the emotions that go from like dusk to dawn across one evening, or the events of one evening.
I feel like this song is going to have more resonance when we hear it within the context of the album. But as a single, it was just a nice, easy to listen to. You just sort of float along with it, and I liked it. But yeah, I think it's going to, when we listen to it within the album, it'll feel a lot more important, which is maybe why they released it, actually, as almost like, hey, this is going to mean something. But
yeah, perhaps.
No, I pretty much echo all of that. It's just fluent, it's chilled, it's easy to listen to. I love the tone of Henry's vocals. I think that's always been something that's drawn me into Boston Manor's music, and they're just on brilliant display here in this one. I really like tasteful guitar solo as well. Just fits the song.
Always good to have a tasteful guitar solo.
I love it. Beautiful, and it fitted it so well. Just enjoyable, and I think it's built up my anticipation for the album. I'm very much looking forward to it now. Yeah, not long to go.
I think we've talked about Henry's vocals time and time again. I think usually in the sense of like the aggression and the emotion behind them, but on this, it's very much more floaty, especially kind of floating through the bridge and into the final chorus. It's very kind of almost soothing, I think, which is again testament to his range, that he can deliver those aggressive, like punchy hooks, but he can also kind of perform on softer songs like this as well.
I feel like it does encapsulate, like, I know we've all probably had a night where you stayed up all the way through till dawn, and this song feels like that sort of hazy, like I'm exhausted.
When you can see the sunlight just starting to peek through the curtains.
I feel like that
birds
is
chirping.
it's encapsulated in this song. That feeling of like just sort of staggered, like, oh, fucking hell, what am I still doing awake? But nice,
Relatable.
Another single ahead of Tallah's new album, and this is Shaken Not Stirred.
I'm going to let you two take the floor with this one, because I find myself always just saying the same things about Tallah over and over again.
I feel it's going to be the same anyway, because like it's just that wonderful, familiar, chaotic energy that always draws me into this band. Once again, you're like reminded of how incredible and diverse Justin's vocals are. Max's snare, as usual, sounds absolutely fucking impeccable. The chorus feels huge, and like it really builds up into it nicely. The breakdown and screams are gnarly, unnecessarily heavy. I love it. They riff just so hard with such a great nu metal sound, and I'm happy that they've pushed the album back and that they're putting the time into it, because it just shows that they care about it. And I don't think there's anything like in them anyway that I can really fault in listening to their music. I struggle to find things when I listen to any of their songs that I pick out of it and just think, yeah, I wasn't a fan of that bit, or I didn't like that bit. They seem to catch you off guard with different things. You're like, oh, that's intriguing, that's interesting. And I can't seem to criticize them. And again, this has just built up so much more energy, and I can't wait for November now. And please, can you fucking tour in the UK? I'm desperate to see you guys live.
Yeah, same. I mean, we say it every time. The nu metal stuff's good. The deathcore stuff's good. The straight up metal riffs are great. Like, everything they do well. And it's always like 100 miles an hour. Everything's insane. But the thing that I think stands out on this song is the bridge. Because we're always talking about Justin's versatility as a vocalist, but it's mostly like his screams that we're talking about. Whereas I feel like the bridge on this is like a chance for him to really flex his clean singing. And like I said to you, James, when we were listening to it the other night, like stylistically, that bridge sounds straight up like it could be on Avenged Sevenfold's self-titled album. Which, like, whether that's where the influence is or not, like, it's just such a cool thing to add to like their sound palette, that they can write a bridge like that, because we know that they can go stupidly heavy. And I guess we sort of heard it on the chorus of Vanilla Paste as well. Just like you get to a section in a song and it's like no other band is going to do something like that. So yeah,
Good
I'm excited for that. And same, like they definitely made the right call in pushing it back, because I think they just needed a bit more time to keep building the hype with. I'd like maybe one more single.
It's like they've gone, oh, it's getting close. No, you can't have it yet.
Yeah.
Teasing it.
Not yet.
The last single we've got is Suicide Silence are back with You Must Die.
It rules, to be fair.
Elaborate.
It's like a little compilation of mini songs stuck together with like all the tempo changes. We go into heavy bits. We go over here and do something else. And then we've got a different breakdown and then another breakdown. I think it's quite cool. You two obviously hate it.
No, I don't think I hate it. I don't know. There are some absolute bangers in their catalogue. And so because I'm not like a huge fan, so when I think of Suicide Silence, I think my bar is quite high, because it's like my brain immediately just jumps to the big uns only. So for me, this was just like the song just sort of passed me by. I was like, that's cool. There's nothing bad about it. Like, it's not like they released just an absolute load of shit. But I was just a bit like, yeah, that's fine.
Kind of similar. I feel like every release they put out that's like an album, I flip back and forth whether I like it or I don't. It feels like good album, meh album, good album, meh album. I felt like this was a little bit overproduced.
Yeah.
The drums felt a little bit dead to me and quite compressed, and it didn't have the usual kind of like ping on the cymbals or crack of a snare drum. It just felt a little bit dead to me and kind of like didn't stand out. And I feel like Eddie's vocals are best when he changes registers quite a lot in the song, and this felt a little bit more monotonous in tone. Riffs were nice, and kind of like you, it just kind of like passed me by. I don't know, like I think perhaps maybe because of being like you said, a fan of some of their older stuff, I instantly can think of like singles that I love off other albums like Slave Substance, a load of stuff off You Can't Stop Me, absolutely incredible album.
I think it maybe suffered, like, if it had been a different band that I maybe hadn't heard before, I probably would have enjoyed it more. But I think with Suicide Silence, my expectations
maybe that's why I
are probably a
enjoyed
bit
it
higher.
so much, because I've not listened to too much Suicide Silence before. So,
however, as we move on, I feel like this is going to be an album we're going to talk about now that could be in album of the year discussions when we get to the end of the year. So we're now going to talk about Euthanasia by Straight From The Path.
I love this band a lot. I think Subliminal Criminals is an amazing album. I think their whole discography is littered with some of my favourite hardcore songs ever. But this is the best they've ever released. I just think every element that I like about this band is flawless on this album. It's easily some of Tom's best riffs, like hands down. Craig's drumming, considering he was either in recovery or had just recovered from a broken back at the time of the recording, is stupid. And I think on top of all of that, like, the lyricism, vocal delivery, and choice of topics throughout this album is just as good as they've ever got it. I think Drew has been able to, like, just access this, like, higher gear that's just so much more intense than anything I think he's ever delivered. Especially you hear it on sort of like the chorus of Guillotine and things like that's a particular standout, obviously. And I just think it's amazing. Like, the singles were obviously huge. I really like the sort of different vibe that Bread and Roses gave. Like, for a Stray song, it was very laid back, if that makes sense, which also within the context of the album really helped sort of break up the flow so it wasn't too monotonous.
Good placement for that.
Yeah, it almost like settles you down and gets you ready for like the last couple of songs on the album, doesn't it?
And I think we're all going to be talking about it, but one of the best deep cuts from any album this year is Chest Candy.
Hands down.
For a song that wasn't a
insane.
single, it's like one of the best songs of the year.
Like, it just sounds like, across most of the album, particularly on Chest Candy, it sounds like Drew and the rest of the band are just at the most irate they've ever been.
Yeah.
Particularly on this song.
It's like everything is turned up to 11, and it's just an unrelenting force, and like so much fun in the drum beats. Craig switching it up. It's got catchiness. It's got unrelenting aggression. I mean, you have that throughout the whole album, but Chest Candy in particular. I found that especially like with Needful Things, like right from the get go at the beginning, you're hearing that song. Drew's right out the gates with that aggression, the riffage, there's the dissonance. The lyrics, they're going to have you like screaming and shouting along. And I just love that line of, "Are you in or in the way?" It's like, I can picture being a live scenario just screaming that along as well. And it being such a force, such a whirlwind, hearing that.
Immediately on Needful Things, it already like showcases what the album's going to be about. You've got crushing but catchy guitar riffs, like the anger in the vocal delivery to match the lyricism. And just some unfathomably good drumming. Craig Reynolds.
He has some fun with like the syncopated grooves, and like the ride cymbal production sounds perfect. Like Will Putney has done a tremendous job behind the scenes of this.
He doesn't miss.
He doesn't miss.
He can
like,
never miss.
I think they credit him pretty much as like the fifth member of Stray for it, and they're going to burst through, I think, on the back of this as something major and get a lot of notice. There's just consistency across it with aggression, riffage, grieviness constantly. It feels like you can mix up between hearing songs knowing like, cool, this is going to be a fucking savage pit, then bits where you're like, I could dance, I can groove to this, and then just kind of like different things. You're like, okay, interesting listening to that. And it just shows, I think, that in their songwriting they're still developing as well, and like they're reaching a point where they found their identity and they're just on a crushing force ahead of them now.
Yeah, I think across this whole album, like the main driving force of it is just pure anger and aggression and at times hatred. It's like you can picture them just being like, you know what, fuck this, and then just laying this down. And like, although their previous work is heavy, that seems like a peaceful protest compared to this album, where the mission statement on this seems to just be to just burn it all down and start society all over again.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the lyrics in the last track. It's a wounded world, put it out of its fucking misery. That's kind of a mission statement across this album, really.
I like you hear things that they haven't done before, like you touched on like Bread and Roses. Like it's not like straying too far from the path of their songwriting.
Way.
Pun intended.
Slow clap.
But they're trying like new things. You're hearing like the reverbed kind of vocals of Drew like in the background almost, and then the switch up with Jesse coming in with the chorus from Stitch Your Guns, kind of having that feature. It's like, you know what you're going to kind of get with some of it, and yet there's still that development, there's still that striving to push forwards and experiment and succeeding at it as well. It just feels like they've nailed it from top to bottom. And yeah, I am now so fucking excited for that show in October, and then also seeing them supporting Beartooth next year.
No skips.
No skips.
No skips.
No skips.
God.
That's true, to be fair.
And our last album to review today, Electric Callboy's Techno. We got quite a few singles.
Yeah, and I think the album suffers from it in a way because a lot of those singles make up, I think, the first 4 tracks on this album. Which, first off, there's the kind of familiarity of, I've heard the song before, like it draws into the album, I guess. But at the same time, when I listen to an album for the first time, I want something new to kick it off.
Yeah, the first 4 are singles,
Mm-hmm.
and then we don't get another song that we had heard prior.
Yeah, I believe the
until
opening 4
track.
tracks are like Pump It, We've Got the Moves, Fuckboy, and then Spaceman.
Which is an immense way to start an album.
Which are really great songs. Yeah. But because of like the comedic value of them, I then found it quite odd that it goes into kind of Mind Reader, Hour of Love, and then Parasite, which were a bit more subtle in terms of humour. They kind of held back on those a bit. But then we bought the Techno Train's Climax C, and it all changes.
All aboard. Sometimes all you just need is a bit of fun. And to be fair, like, this album flew by because it was 10 songs, half an hour. And I do think every song does serve a purpose because, like you said, some are more obviously like comedic, some are more subtle. I feel like Fuckboy's not even really, to me, that much of a comedic song.
No, that's
it's probably the most
It's a bit of a tongue-in-cheek
yeah.
pop punk song, isn't it?
But then, yeah, you get like Hurricane and Techno Train, which just... It's just silly. But like, it's exactly what I think they want, because this has been the most fun album this year. And they've been the band that have consistently made us laugh.
It's been really easy to listen to as well.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just all you need is to just like just relax, and in a way like just switch your brain off and just enjoy something. And like,
it's great as well when like we've just reviewed Straight from the Path, which is a very serious record taking on some serious like issues in society, and then it can be quite daunting in a way to sit down and review like albums like one after the other that take on serious topics and things like that. So to go from Straight from the Path to then review this was quite nice, I think.
No, I pretty much agree with everything you both said. I think having those 4 songs, there's like a nice familiarity to it, because although we've heard them like scattered over a bit of time, it's like, oh, I recognise this, I recognise this, I recognise this. Like, I wanted to get to the new songs as well, but kind of hearing them back to back was quite nice, because I haven't had that experience. I've not necessarily gone from like, oh, let me listen to Spaceman to listen to Fuckboy to listen to We Got the Moves or anything like that. Then, like you say, it is just pure enjoyment across the whole album. There's so many moments you kind of end up listening to, and you're like, you hear the lyrics or you hear certain instrumental parts or like switch ups in songs, and you're just smiling and laughing to yourself, and it is just that pure fun. The new songs have all got some fun and heaviness to them as well. I think they managed to create such a great dynamic when they can blend genres and go from like the most Eurobeat poppy kind of thing into massive breakdowns, like 2 very distinctly different genres, and actually making it work, which isn't easy.
Yeah,
it's a party album.
I like it. I think we all had a great time listening to it.
Yeah,
and I think throughout this whole year they've kept us laughing. Like, we've been sending each other, like, every time there's a new video, we'll send it to each other and be like, "This is ridiculous. Watch this now."
Yeah, or at the festivals we've been at, we'll just stick it on at the campsite.
Yeah, And
Yeah.
bop
we've,
along to it.
and we've heard other people putting it on, and everyone's been
It's-
enjoying it. People
Played
have-
it- played
has
at the
been played.
Dollhouse, didn't
I
it?
think they've probably got one of the most played, well, at least some of the most played songs across festival season this
Yeah.
summer.
Definitely.
I'm very interested in going to see them tour next year.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like them.
let's
I
do
think it's
it.
at Brixton Academy in April. I feel like is going to be an incredible party.
Well, I'll say it on record, so we have to go. We'll go to that tour.
There we go.
So.
Cinderella will go to the tour.
James, what's coming up?
Upcoming releases. We've got quite a busy period coming up here, so listen up. On September 30th, Slipknot released The End So Far. October 7th has 2 albums. It's got Lamb of God with Omens. Counterparts release A Eulogy for Those Still Here. October 14th sees Boston Man release Datura. Lorna Shore release Pain Remains. Red Hot Chili Peppers release Return to the Dream Canteen. On the 21st of October, The Classic Symptoms of a Broken Spirit is released by Architects. And on October 28th, Fit for a King release The Hell We Create.
Bloody fucking huge that month. Well, I mean, Slipknot's this month, but you know what I mean.
The next month,
The
over the
next
next period.
Yes.
What are you most looking forward to?
Counterparts. For me.
Counterparts, I think, yeah. Slipknot's going to be great. I'm going to enjoy it. But Counterparts have got some of the best singles leading up to an album so far this year. Bound to the Burn's fucking stupid. Whispers of Your Death's amazing. I love that band.
Thoughts to Kuma?
Yeah. Sending Our Love to Kuma.
I'm quite intrigued to listen to their Fit for a King album. I've never delved into them too much, and I've always heard good things being said about them. So kind of going to use this as like a launch point, just to see what I think, see if I like it, see if I don't. But yeah, there's a lot of albums in here that I'm looking forward to hearing.
Yes. Should we do a little gig talk about cancer bats?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
It was a good time, wasn't it?
It was a lovely time. A solemn time.
It's what she would have wanted.
Yep. Should we make any references to it, or shall I edit around it?
I'll leave it up to you.
I wouldn't trust my judgment.
Anyway, we kind of went not knowing too much.
It was a random
of Cancer
Thursday.
Bats.
We went on a random
Nothing
Thursday.
in particular.
Don't ask what we found out in the car on the way there.
Nothing. No big news broke on that Thursday. But we went to see Cancer Bats. After not really listening to too much Cancer Bats before, not being too into them, but they put on a really good show. There wasn't a great turnout. The crowd was quite small, but
Yeah.
That is
what they lacked in numbers, they made up for with energy.
Yeah, I mean, once again, Oxford, you let us down. But the people that were there, it was actually very,
The
very
people that were there were there.
They were there. No, I really, really enjoyed Cancer Bats. Their set was definitely like to be honest, the whole night was, I've just been won over by this band by seeing them live. Because it was 3 bands. Graphite Nature I'd heard a bit of, and I liked what I'd heard.
You'd seen them at Trees, hadn't you?
Saw them at Trees, and they were very, very good at Trees.
They were really tight.
But they were very, very good that night. Just brutal. Again, like, they're on this train of this like new era of metalcore that's not shying away from like the new metal influences, which I just love. And I think they sound amazing, and I really like that all they're doing at the moment is just single after single. So it's like every song that they've released, because since coming back from this gig, I've been on a bit of a binge with their music. I was thinking about recommending them, but there's not like one big release for me to recommend.
Yeah.
But like, just go and listen to all their singles, because every song, like, because they're only doing them one at a time, it's like every song's got enough attention and time to like sit and breathe. And then Witch Fever, who I think we both said on the way in, like, you got to see it live to get it, and I definitely did.
Yeah, I got it.
Because I thought they were really, really good, really fun. And same as Graphic Nature, I've just been binging their music since we've come back from that gig. So, anything more to add?
Not on that particular gig, no.
Oh,
But-
shit, yeah, we've more. Slaughter Beach Dog.
Yeah, we went to
Yeah.
Slaughter Beach Dog.
An acoustic free entry show, and it was just delightful.
It was very nice. I wasn't sure what to expect really, because we'd never been to Big Scary Monster Social Club before,
No.
even though it's been there for I don't know how long it's been there, but we must have walked past it countless times on the way to gigs at the O2 Academy. But yeah, it was a nice little place and a lovely little acoustic set, I thought.
Yeah, he just turned up, tuned his guitar, and was like,
What songs do you want me to
Yeah.
play?
And people were just shouting out songs, and he was like, "Okay, just playing it." And it was just a very
And we
sweet
had to
night.
stop ourselves requesting modern baseball songs.
Yeah, I was biting my tongue.
As much as we like Soy Beach Dog, that would have been good.
But yeah, more of
But
that.
nonetheless, a very nice evening. Good to see the place packed out as well. That place was pretty full.
And we're all nodding at each other that the segment is over on a podcast. Well done, boys.
I was taking a sip of water, so that's my excuse for not saying anything.
Are we doing comments?
Yeah, should we go through some comments?
Yes.
What have the people been
I
saying?
feel-
Do we need a
like-
comment jingle?
Maybe.
Let's take a look at the comments.
Right, jingle. Right, that's going in now.
By the next episode, that will be a song.
Neb has commented on our Slipknot tier list video, where James and Alex went through every single Slipknot song and put it in a tier list. He wants to see a Weezer album tier list.
Oh, they've done 15 studio albums. I was literally about to suggest, why don't we just do it very quickly right now?
Oh,
Didn't
Yeah.
think it was that many.
did you not realise?
No.
Alex, you replied to Neb. What did he say?
They are all S tier. And I'm correct.
Sure. We released a video looking at heavy metal music in the mainstream, and I don't know how to pronounce this. Maybe Yuholon
Nailed it.
has made an incredibly funny joke. Have they come out with light metal yet? Something like Magnesium? Rossi By commented on our last podcast episode where we discussed whether Reading and Leeds is getting worse. They said they went to Leeds for the first time this year and they were somewhat disappointed by the heavier options, although Fever 333 and Bring Me the Horizon smashed it. Overall vibe of the festival didn't feel to fit the metal hardcore scene, but still had a great time.
Well, glad you had a good time. I think like we touched on in that, it is verging away from it, so it is like your token bands you're getting. So if that's your first time there, maybe your first time going to festivals, definitely recommend just venture out, download Trees next year, Slammy D, plenty of other good options for you. Go check out our vlogs to see.
But also, who knows, the Reading and Leeds lineup might suddenly be alternative again next year. I'm not counting on it, but
No.
you never know.
No, it's
We
not,
shall see.
Not likely.
But anyway, yeah, it's good that Ross, I assume that's Rossi By's actual name, had a good time.
And congratulations for escaping what looked like the purge.
Oh yeah,
By
yeah,
Sunday
you've
night,
clearly survived
Yeah.
somehow.
So well done.
That's the comments.
Do you want to give us the jingle again?
No.
No.
So recently, Slam Dunk Festival announced the first wave of acts for their lineup for next year. Very excited about it, but it got us thinking: what is the best Slam Dunk lineup from the past few years? So we're going to take a look back. Do you have any particular years that could be a contender, James?
I have three. I'll touch on my first one here. And it happens to be the first year I went to Slam Dunk. It was 2015's. I'll rattle off some bands.
You fucker, that's the one I was going to pick.
Haha. I was there. It was wonderful. Neck Deep were on main stage. Knucklepuck were there. We had the heavy stage consisting of Architects, Sleeps, Bury Tomorrow, Beartooth, Stick to Your Guns were there, Trash Boat were there. I didn't get a chance to see a lot of these bands, and I wasn't necessarily fans of all these bands at that time. But now, from the point of where I am listening to music, looking back at it, it's a year that, if I can go back in time, I'd love to jump between so many different stages, see so many of these bands, and it would have been an incredible day from me now, but even there, as that was my first ever festival experience as well, going with you and Cam, I think it was just such a great time and kind of opened my eyes to live music in a different way, having never been at a festival before. So from the perspective of being there, but also the perspective of looking at it post the event, it was just an incredible year.
Yeah, I mean, when I look at this lineup, the main thing that jumps out to me is how many really great bands there are low down. Like Trash Talk, Stick to Your Guns, Being as an Ocean, being low down on the Empirical stage. You look at the Fresh Blood stage, you've got Trash Boat, who were, I think, competition winners that year. You've got Knucklepuck really low down. Bands like Transit and Fireworks that aren't around anymore. Wonderful lineup. Or does Alex have any comments about this lineup?
Was this
as someone who didn't go?
Well, I didn't go because I was bitterly jealous that you two went for a good few years and I was never invited. Because I was too young. But this looks absolutely smashing. Straight away, I think like you said, Dan, like there's just bands across the bottom and like the lower half of a lot of the stages that it's just like, yes, please. I think also Yumi, this is 2015, yeah. I'm looking around. Yeah. Like seeing Yumi at 6 at the height of their power, sensational. Don Broco on the up, Architects on the up.
You make them sound like an emperor or something.
Hey, well, Empire's full.
Evidently.
Yeah. Neck Deep on the up, While She Sleeps, excellent. I'll stop now, otherwise I'll just name a band and then say an adjective.
A lot of this discussion is going in the direction of us just naming bands.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I like that one very much. I wish I'd gone.
Good memories. First time I ever crowd surfed at Architects.
And now you can't stop.
No, I am relentless.
I think it's 2015 was back when the festival was still on the grounds of the Hatfield University.
Yeah.
Whereas if you contrast that to more recent years, where it kind of expanded, it's got this bigger space in this open field now. I think it's allowed for them to get some bigger bands and have like on that 2015 lineup, there's loads of small bands that are great and have like a cult following, and then you've got clearly bigger bands like Yumi at 6, Lone Atlantis, bands like that. Whereas here, it's like huge bands across the board. When I say here, I'm looking at last year's lineup. 2022 and 2021 kind of share the same kind of similarities, really, because I remember it being so packed that I just didn't have time to eat. I barely had time to eat, basically, which I think if you're talking about how good a lineup is, that's a good sign of a good lineup.
Yeah, very true. I remember having a great experience. It was nice from like the personal side, kind of bands away from that. It was like the first time we had a massive group together, and I think having that experience, go back and watch our vlog, because I've gone back and watch it so many times because it was just so much fun. Having groups of people just together, splitting off into different pairings or trios, or one person maybe going on their own. Everyone kind of joined together at different points in different bands, and I think that added to that festival being so fantastic. And then you'd have the whole collective group going to see like one band in particular, and it was stacked. And evidently from that, you can see us all like departing with different ones. I think like Heavy Stage going from Bury Tomorrow to Sleeps was fantastic. Don Broker put on a fantastic show at Main Stage. To show how stacked it was, and like to know some of those clashes and what was going on, is always in a way a good sign, because you know that you've got so many bands you could go and see, and the potential for that is fantastic. So 2021, I hold that in very high regard and have so many fond memories of that. Circling back to 2022 then, we still had that though this year, and we still had that like jumping between so many different stages, seeing so many different bands and splitting off. My only disappointment, I'd say, from 2022 is the Sum 41 set didn't land for me, and I think I wasn't the only one that felt that. Like for me, Neck Deep felt like my headliners from their set.
Yep.
They knocked out of the park, and I wasn't maybe expecting them to be as good as they were, but they nailed it. Kenny was a standout. He was absolutely phenomenal.
Definitely.
Electric Callboy were so much fun seeing them live. Beartooth, fantastic. It was the first time hearing some of Below live, some of that album, and that was incredible. You had a great kind of like double set from the Wonder Years. I remember you just pretty much camped out for like 2 hours or so.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
I stayed there for the whole day, basically.
Just good vibes.
I mean, I massively agree. Those were the 2 years that I've been, and I bloody loved it. So those were great. But I've found one that I obviously didn't go to that I think has some contenders for some of the most stacked stages, and that's 2018. First of all, Jägermeister stage is the following, and this alone I think is worth the ticket price. Jägermeister 2018. Good Charlotte, Paris, Frank Hart and the Rattlesnakes, Sleeping with Sirens, State Champs, Creeper, 4 Year Strong, Knuckle Puck. Fuck me.
That's your day.
Stupidly good. But hey, what's going on the Monster stage? Jimmy Eat World, Taking Back Sunday, Lone Atlantis, Twin Atlantic, Say Anything, The Audition. I can't read the bottom band because it's too blurry on my phone.
Dangerous Summer.
There you go, incredible. But hey, what about the Impericon stage if you want something heavy? Every Time I Die, North Lane, Comeback Kid, Crown the Empire, Counterparts, Devil Wears Prada, Astro Boys, Brutality Will Prevail, Loathe. That's a day sold. But hey, if you like something a bit different, what about the signature stage? As it is, Me vs. Hero, Trash Boat, Rome, Broadside, Home Safe, Can't Swim, Woes. I mean, to be able to craft stages that are that perfectly curated that you can just be like, I'm going and I only need to go to one stage.
I'll tell you what, even that acoustic stage,
My God.
we got Speak Low, 4 Year Strong, Pavements, Selfish Things, and Cave Town.
And to top it all off, £49 for a ticket. Oh,
Easy.
if I had a time
I
machine.
went this year, and it was like I've mentioned with the most recent couple of years, it was just hectic. There was bands that I loved that I was having to walk away from. I remember leaving Lower Than Atlantis, I think, to go and see Trash Boat. Leaving Casey, I think it was, to go and see someone else. I think it might have been Frank Carter at that point in the day. Slam Dunk makes you make a lot of tough decisions. But again, that's a sign of a solid lineup.
Any more years? that stand
Yeah,
out?
I've picked out another one that I went to back when Slam Dunk Midlands was a thing. Enter Shikari headlining in 2017 with a anniversary 10-year celebration of Take It to the Skies.
That was a fun year.
That set alone could have sold me on the whole thing already. But you also had on that same stage Don Broco, Death of Anna, Beartooth, Bury Tomorrow, We Are the Ocean. That might have been the year they were playing their last ever shows, maybe? I'm not sure. Still, great band. Crossfaith. You've got, I think James might have spent most of his time on the Monster Energy stage that year with Neck Deep, Waster, Trophy Eyes, Like Pacific.
I remember jumping between there and then the Impericon stage.
Impericon stage.
I remember watching I Prevail. I remember watching Ocean's 8 Alaska. That was my first kind of discovery of them after being recommended to go and see them. I remember kind of you talking to me about Stray.
I think this was the first time I saw Stray from the Path.
I remember being on the right-hand side of the stage and that they were filming some stuff for a music video for it because they were like, let's get everyone up, let's get everyone crowd surfing. And I did not know of them at that point. I just remember you saying, if you have time, go and check them out.
I could be wrong, but I think they had to shut off the area that stage was in during the Straight from the Path set because there was too many people there.
Yeah. But I remember jumping from place to place. I remember going and seeing Beartooth like inside on that main stage. I remember that being indoors. I remember being, I think was it Boston Manor, were inside in a different kind of part of the venue.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, on the Key Club stage.
Yeah, and I remember like queuing up and just kind of looking across. You're like, I'm going into the pit over there, and I was getting some food.
Seaway were great as well.
Yeah, I remember like jumping between so many different stages. I remember you and me being like having like the schedules each, but I think being inside at one point, you'd be like, okay, I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna go here. Let's meet for food here, and you're gonna go there, and then let's both go and see this band. And we were like planning our routes of like when we were meeting up and then when we were seeing different
and
bands.
when we were gonna get a beer. And when we were gonna eat food.
I have so many like fond memories of that.
This lineup makes me reminisce and like miss like the indoor setup that they used to have.
I did like that, and
like you mentioned seeing Boston Manor indoors. Like I remember it being in like the lobby area.
Yeah.
For I think the Jensen Arena it was called at the time. I don't know what it's called. Resorts World Arena now I think it's called. Yeah, I remember that being in the kind of foyer lobby food court area.
And I remember when we initially went in 2015, because obviously that having the indoor bit at the Hatfield Uni Park kind of area of going indoors and seeing Stick to Your Guns. When we kind of first arrived, I remember walking past, seeing Crossfaith, never really listened to them, like, cool, they've got a live set. And we walked in and saw Stick to Your Guns and like, okay, this is a cool little setup. And I think having that kind of diversity in that, instead of just being like an outdoor setting, made it a lot more fun. And
I do like both. Both kind of settings have their flaws and their benefits. But yeah, I'm very nostalgic of
definitely
the smaller setup that you used to have.
Try and narrow down one each. Like
vote on them.
I lean. There's two that I kind of lean towards. I think it ties into personal a little bit. Is 2015, being the first year I went and seeing so many incredible bands, and then 2021. It was like one of our first kind of big thing back. We just come out of the pandemic and we'd gone to the Heavy Music Awards. I think it was like the next week afterwards, we went to Slam Dunk Festival, and it being like almost like the first gig back in a way. And just, I think, having the amazing group of people that we had made it a whole different kind of experience. There were so many phenomenal bands there. Even like McFly, we didn't even mention them earlier. Having them do a secret set was just so much fun, just packed out. Now talking about it, I think I'm going to lean towards 2021. For me, that was my favourite year, the best lineup, and then, yeah, just great memories from it.
Yeah, my bias is because I was there, but 2021 was amazing. And also, it definitely felt like because of the pandemic, they had like a year's worth of pent-up bookings to sort of come back even stronger. Yeah. So I think 2021 was amazing, but if not that one, I would probably say 2015.
So for me, in terms of the number of bands that I would see, 2022 is the strongest, but you can have too much of a good thing. And I was very stressed at times on that day. So I'm going to agree with 2021. I think it was a really nice balance of bands that I wanted to see personally. As James said, we had a great group of people there. And it was just right, I think.
Great times were had.
Oh, just magical.
And you can go and see that year, 2021, from our perspective. Our vlog will be up in the top corner now. Click on that button. Go watch it. Great experience.
Great vlog.
Good times.
One of our better ones, I would say.
It's not bad. And we'll be there next year for sure, because we really like this new lineup.
It has good bands.
And Shikari are back headlining. 4 Year Strong, Malevolence, Holding Absence, Trash Boat, Real Friends, haven't seen them in years, and a bloody Kids in Glass Houses doing a reunion show.
He predicts these things.
Oh, I might have just changed my mind on what album I'm recommending.
There we go.
On that note...
Ooh, I wonder what it could be. Well, we've categorically decided the best year of Slam Dunk, so there's nothing else to do but recommend an album and wrap it up. James, what would you like to recommend?
I am going to recommend a new metal incredible album. It's Toxicity by System of a Down. With there being a possibility they could be at download next year. This is an album that I think doesn't get its recognition for how good it is from start to finish. So yeah, Toxicity by System of a Down, I think is an underrated album that as a whole doesn't get the recognition. So
surprise, surprise, because we've been talking about Slam Dunk Festival, I'm going to go for Smart Casual by Kids in Glass Houses. It's a very nostalgic album for me. It was one of my favourites when I was like 12, 13. And I'm very excited to see them live at Slam Dunk again next year.
Nice. I'm going to recommend Somewhere Nowhere by 100th. We've got a pretty full-on month with some heavy stuff next month. So I figured we could just do with a bit of variety. Because I like this album. That's it. What have we got coming up? What should we plug?
Well, as of time of recording, tomorrow, me and Alex and Callum from the Download Vlogs, we are going to London, we're going to Underworld and going to see Ocean's 8 Alaska. And very much looking forward to this show. So there will be a vlog of that coming out. Maybe the next video that comes out after this podcast.
Probably.
If, like me, you're still weeping at the thought of festival season being over, you can watch all of our vlogs, our breakdown podcasts. There's just loads of festival-themed stuff on our channel. So it's not really over. You don't have to let it be over. Keep reliving it.
We've got, apart from the vlogs, we've got beginner's guides if you're trying to get into some bands. We've got tier lists. Recently we've done a tier list of every Slipknot song. Up until next album coming out, so maybe that'll get added on as a little end note at some point, who knows, but up until then, listen to that. We did a Guitar Hero 3 tier list. Absolute gem of a video game.
That was a great one.
Yeah, that was very
so much fun. Probably one of the best video games of all time. Great track list. We've got a Spotify exclusive show, Ragamuffin Radio.
It's basically a playlist, but it's a radio show at the same time.
It's a revolutionary idea. I don't know what else we got. What else do we do?
That's about it.
Who are we? What do we do? What are we doing here?
The podcast? You asked it like a riddle.
What's this?
I don't know where you were
Why
going.
are we
with
here?
that.
Neither do I.
If you want more podcast-related content, we have another series called A Perfect Gig, where we try to figure out, hey, what would make a perfect gig? A guest comes on every episode. They their dream 4-band lineup, and we have just a lovely old chat in the meantime.
Thank you, Joseph Parrott 18, who's just subscribed to our YouTube channel.
Legend! This episode is
Cheers, dude.
dedicated to you, Joseph Parrott 18. Alright, now we're just waffling, so it's over. Bye-bye.
Bye.